Hello and welcome back to Dragon Age Inquisition. This is the second part of the Codex video. So, last time we looked at the places, some magic, some history. And this time we're focusing more on the now, what's important for us right this very second. So, groups. Rebel mages. Whereas the Circle was established not merely to protect the world from mages, but also to allow mages to practice their art safely and without fear. And... what? Whereas the Circle was established not merely to allow... and... come on, Bioware. Can we have end of sentences here? Anyway. Whereas under Lord Seeker Lambert's command, the Templars sworn to protect all people, including mages, from the harmful effects of magic, have instead persecuted mages with such biased judgment as to... oh, I see. Sorry. Sorry for interrupting. The and is to... it's to make a new paragraph. It's very odd. Anyway. Including mages, harmful effects have instead persecuted mages with such biased judgment as to worsen the problems they were meant to mitigate, and whereas the Rite of Tranquility, intended as a tool of last resort to stop uncontrolling mages from hurting themselves or others, has instead been used for punitive and political purposes to silence distance and inhibit civilized discourse, and whereas Andraste herself intended the relationship between mages and Templars to be one of practitioner and protector, not prisoner and jailer, and this contract has been broken, leaving mages in fear for their lives and sworn to protect them. Now, therefore, the Circle of Magi declares the following. We, the mages of Ferelden and our lay, do hereby dissolve the Circles, renounce our sworn submission to the Order of Templars, effective immediately. We reiterate Andraste's assertion that magic was made to serve man, not to rule over him, and state unequivocally that we will use our abilities only to defend ourselves from those who would see us relinquish our lives and our freedoms under the presumption of guilt for crimes we have not committed. We condemn these practitioners of magic who, through illness of mind or understandable misguided anger at those who oppress them, would use their maker-given powers to threaten innocent lives, and we pledge to aid any legitimate and impartial government in bringing these lawless apostates to justice. We look earnestly to a future of cooperation between all peoples of Thedas, free from persecution and prejudice, and hope to build a better world alongside all those who approach us with friendship instead of fear. Yours in service to Andraste and the Maker, the Free Mages of Thedas, a leaflet distributed in towns and villages across Orlais and Ferelden. Now this sounds very reasonable, but you have to take into account this is a leaflet that they have written as propaganda for themselves. So I'm guessing that we may well find a Templar leaflet that says very much the same thing. So I don't think it's as simple as this. The Templar Order, end of an accord. Most Holy, the Seekers are well aware of the part you played in the rebellion. You called me to the Grand Cathedral in the middle of the night on urgent business only to speak of trivial matters, and then when I returned to the White Spire I discovered chaos and one of your agents in the midst of the apostates. Did you think I would not notice? Did you believe yourself above repercussions for such acts? It was a dark day when the Chantry placed such an incapable woman on the sunburst throne. I will not stand idle and watch you destroy what ages of tradition and righteousness have built. In the 20th year of this divine age, the Nevian Accord was signed. The Seekers of Truth lowered our banner and agreed to serve the Chantry's right hand, and together we created the Circle of Magi. Of the Circle no more, I hereby declare the Accord null and void. Neither the Seekers of Truth nor the Templar Order recognize the Chantry authority. Instead, we will perform the Maker's work as it was meant to be done, as we see fit. Signed this day, on the 14th year of the Dragon Age, Lord Seeker Lambert van Reefs. letter sent to Divine Justina from the Lord Seeker. So the Seeker and the Templars aren't part of the Chantry anymore. Interesting. So, the Templar Order traditional role. In reality, the Chantry's militant arm looks first with skilled warriors with unshakable faith in the Maker, with flawless moral centre as a secondary concern. The Templars must carry out their duty with an emotional distance, and the Order of Templars prefers soldiers with religious fervour and absolute loyalty over paragons of virtue who might question orders when it comes to time to make difficult choices. The Templars' power derives from the substance lyrium, a material believed to be the raw element of creation. While mages use lyrium in their arcane spells and rituals, Templars ingest the primordial mineral to enhance their abilities to resist and dispel magic. Lyrium use is regulated by the Chantry, but some Templars suffer from lyrium addiction, the effects of which include paranoia, obsession, and dementia. Templars knowingly submit themselves to this treatment in the service of the Order and the Maker. It is this sense of ruthless piety that most frightens mages when they draw the Templars' attention. When the Templars are sent to eliminate a possible blood mage, there are no reasoning of them. And, if the Templars are prepared, the mage's magic is all but useless. Driven by their faith, Templars are one of the most feared and respected forces in Thedas. From Patterns Within Form by Heidel, First Enchanter of Starkhaven, 880 Blessed. Okay. So, the Templars are pretty much the best anti-magic weapon you're going to get, but they don't really want to be with the Chantry anymore, or they've separated. My question is whether this actually went through. Like, what time was this letter sent? Because it must be fairly recent, but was it way before this conclave, or was this what made the conclave happen, or... Anyway, it'd be nice to know some more details. Hopefully we'll find them out. Creatures. Archers. To fight an enemy with a bow or crossbow is simple, although not always easy. A guard with a crossbow must crank his weapon after each shot. If there is only one such enemy, seek cover and give him cause to waste his shot, then close upon him before he may fire again. If there are many, close to their flanks so you face one guard directly, using him as a second shield, and no other guard has a clean shot at your unprotected back. Do not move to the middle of their ranks and rely upon them hesitating to risk hitting one another. A soldier with a short bow is little more dangerous. Attack him as you would an enemy with a crossbow, but except he will likely fire again. Approach with your shield up, even if you must sacrifice speed. Few soldiers are true masters of the bow, and those who do not fumble the draw in fear will fire a shot quickly, so it is more likely to glance off your armor or shield than punch through. Few soldiers have the skill or strength to make good use of a longbow. Respect those who do. Against such an enemy, cover is the only defense. Move quickly across his field of vision, forcing him to compensate for your movement. Do not charge directly unless your allies can distract him. A fully drawn longbow can drive an arrow through a chevalier's plate at 100 yards. A fight between an archer and a chevalier is a test of cunning versus patience. We're too often patient, heavy armoured as we are, and faced with lightly armoured foes who would harass us. While archers frustrate me, as they do most chevaliers, it is good that we fight them so we remember how to be cunning, how to break an opponent's patience. An excerpt from A Meditation upon the Use of Blades by Swordsmaster Machis de Jean Mien, required reading at the Academy des Chevaliers. Interesting. Bear. We went into the woods near Val Foret to find a great brown bear that had the town folks worried. We found her some miles from the west gate. She had made a den in a cave on the hillside, close to a stream. We stopped some yards away and listened. Eldwin cast a spell to make us less likely to be discovered. Useful magic. After several hours, the bear emerged from her den. Beautiful red-brown sheen to her coat, phenomenal beastie. Following close behind were 3 cubs. Balls of fluffy brown fur with eyes set in them. Amazing, amazing little creatures. I would have liked to watch the little family playing in the stream all day, but the wind changed and the mama bear caught her scent. Even with Eldwin working his magic, she leapt in our direction, stopping when she couldn't see anything, then rose up on her hind legs and roared. What a sight that was! I estimate she was half again as tall as I. Quick as anything, she charged towards us, snapping branches as she went. I dove out of the way, but Eldwin, bless his heart, was too slow. A massive paw caught him right in the chest, and he went down. Poor Eldwin. Nature is ruthless, but magnificent. From the Wilds of Thedas, Volume 2 by Stefan Derone. Don't mess with Mama Bear. Bruiser. The warrior wielding a great blade strikes terror into common soldiers, but to a chevalier he is no greater danger than any other opponent. A skilled warrior is struck down by a maul or a battle axe in one of 3 cases. In the first, he is taken unawares in the heat of battle. In the second, he cannot evade the blow because of the nature of the battlefield or his own injuries. And in the third, most common case, he is struck down because he reacts poorly. We do not train enough against 2-handed weapons, because we disdain them ourselves. I think this is a mistake, and in time to come I hope it is corrected. I have seen too many skilled warriors die because they see a great maul coming down at them and raise a shield to block instead of deflect. I have seen men lose their composure due to fear or anger and engage such warrior directly, thinking they can risk a blow to their body as they would from a light sword or a dagger. In the heat of battle, even those with a trained mind would think such things. Those who cannot overcome such thoughts die. You must watch the weapon, but only to gauge its length. Otherwise, as in all fights, the opponent's hips and shoulders will tell his intent. The great weapons are dangerous only when moving or poised overhead to strike down. You must give ground, but only against the true threat. If he advances, but it is not truly prepared to strike, you must rush in, cut him, and withdraw to your guard before his blow is ready. It may take 10 cuts to kill him. Even after the 9th, he may cleave your head from your body if you do not respect the distance he can cover. And if using such a weapon yourself, mark your distance and do not allow yourself to react to an opponent outside your reach. You cannot recover your guard as quickly as you can with a sword and shield. Keep your weapon moving and measure your blows. A stuttered step on your strike can fool many an opponent into thinking you out of range than rushing their defence. In this manner you may kill most who stand against you. Fighting in such a manner you may feel more like a butcher than a hero, but the living may console themselves while the dead cannot. An excerpt from a mediation upon use of blades by Swordmaster Machis de Jean Mien, required reading at the Academy de Chevaliers. So, 2-handed weapons, guys, just try and deflect and not block. Let's tell him. Corpse. In most centres of Thedas, funeral rites include burning or dismembering the dead to prevent them from becoming host to demons, but not everyone gets a proper burial. It is not unheard of for the dead to be thrown in mass graves in the aftermath of a battle or execution, almost asking some demon to claim the corpse. From beyond the veil, spirits and demons by enchanter Midromo. So yeah, that would explain the large number of skeletons that appear. Oh, these all have unique images. I should be showing them. Archer, bear, bruiser, corpse. That looks a bit like the Scream painting. Can't imagine that's unintentional. Fennec. My dearest and best father and lord, you are strong and fair and obviously the most handsome Arl in all of Ferelden. I want a Fennec. Please, please get one for me. I saw a picture in a book that a brigand was carrying for Master Fergal, and it's the fluffiest, most delightful creature I've ever seen. The book says they live in the mountains and eat voles and repulsive things like that. When I get mine, I will feed it only nice things like cake and pearls. Please, 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 please. Send someone to catch one. I really need one right now. Ruby wants company. It's not my fault that Premium Bubble broke. Please don't believe anything Aileen says. Please, I promise I'll spend no more gold and silks this month. It's too cold anyway. Your most loving and obedient daughter, Habron. A note from Habron Bryland to her father, Leonois Bryland, Earl of Southreach, written in 931 Dragon. Reports indicate that Habron did receive a small white fox as a gift from her father. Later that month, she promptly lost it down a well. Fennec would be a fox. Probably not the best pet, if I had to guess. Foot soldier. I have faced Antivian duelists, Ferelden Ash warriors, and Fog warrior skirmishers. When we strip away the titles and tricks, they are simply men who want to see their enemies dead, but need a hand free to manage it. Duelists favour a thinner target over offensive strength of a main gauche. Ash warriors need a hand to guide their Mabari, and lighter weapon to take advantage of the openings their dogs leave, while Fog warriors rely on stealth and speed too much to use a heavy shield. When engaging such an opponent, respect his speed. His hand and feet will move a great deal. Ignore them. Watch his hips and shoulders instead. First deny what advantages he has in his allies or environment, unless you have trained equally in such matters. Once you control his weapon, overwhelm him. He has no shield, so you need not fear a second blade. If it was forced to fight in such a manner, you must decide whether you will fight as a duelist, one-handed, or a chevalier. If the former, drop your back leg away and tighten your center target, as you have no shield to cover your body or second weapon to bring it into range. Focus on a quick attack and give ground freely when you cannot find advantage. If the latter, rely on your vambrace and gauntlet as a shield and try to wrench your opponent's weapon away. My left arm bears the scars of such efforts, but my opponents bear worse. Better still, do not lose your shield at all, but battles are not a place of perfection. Excerpt from Meditation upon Use of Blades by Swordmaster Machis de Jeanmin, required reading at the Academy of the Chevaliers. Okay. Sounds like we might want to try and find this Jeanmin if we can. Could be quite useful. Guardsman. A novice believes his sword of utmost importance, and his shield is there to show his family colours. All scoff at such foolishness, but the older student, thinking his shield a sign from the Maker that he cannot be struck down, is a little wiser. A warrior coming away from battle with his shield dented and ripped may be praised for his bravery. A warrior coming away with his shield merely scratched should be praised for his skill. Remember that metal shield was beaten into shape, and maybe beaten out of it. Even a blow that does not tear a hole drives an impact through your arm and shoulder, where shock and pain will wear down even the strongest warrior. In a duel against a single opponent, you may seek a quick advantage in taking a blow directly to the shield in order to strike one in return. If you are protecting another, you may have no choice. In all other cases, against one opponent or many, it is better to hide the movements of your hips and shoulders behind your shield, forcing your enemies to focus on it rather than on you. This is also true when fighting an opponent so armed. Your goal is not the shield, but the man behind it. Circling or locking shields may gain you an advantageous position. Failing that, rain blows upon his defences until he tires and his guard grows sloppy. If you are neither skilled enough to slip past him nor fit enough to wear him down, you will most likely die. An excerpt from Mediation upon the Use of Blades by Swordmaster Machis de Jeanmin, required reading at the Academy des Chevaliers. Okay. Alright. Next one. Dogs are Mabari. Dogs are an essential part of Ferelden culture, and no dog is more prized than the Mabari. The breed is as old as myth, said to have been bred from the wolves who served Dane. Prized for their intelligence and loyalty, these dogs are more than mere weapons or status symbols. The hounds choose their masters, pairing with them for life. To be the master of a Mabari anywhere in Ferelden is to be recognised instantly as a person of worth. The Mabari are an essential part of the Ferelden military strategy. Trained hounds can easily pull knights from horseback or break lines of pikemen, and sight and sound of a wave of war dogs howling and snarling has been known to cause panic among even the most hardened infantry soldiers. From Ferelden Folklore and History by Sistra Petrine, Chantry Scholar. Nug. I was sure before the Blight they were a whole lot more rare. Should ask a warden about that. If killing archdemons leaves nugs all over, and the poor things don't seem to be built for anywhere. I mean, they feed on anything, but they blister in the desert and freeze in the snow, and they're easier to track than your own arse. Everything eats them, except me. The hands put me off. Yet they thrive. Randy bastards outpace every tooth and claw. Anyway, my point is, the ones around the farm are so inbred, they're 5 colours and can't stop peeing. I've seen them in the capital as elusive eastern bunny pigs. What did father say about the idiots with deep pockets? Excerpt from the private letters of Captain Brain, Lap Nug Dealer, produced in evidence after 7 claims of water terrors and death following bites in the Garden District. Pride Demon. The most powerful demons yet encountered are the Pride Demons, perhaps because they, among all their kind, most resemble men. As clever and manipulative as the Desire Demon, with perchance for cruel irony that is almost human. While the demons of desire largely engage in the bribery of mortals, Pride will use mortals' own best nature against them. Clever men outwit themselves, strong men crush themselves, humble men forget themselves, jealous men fear themselves. They turn corruption and ruin into an art. From beyond the veil, spirits and demons by Enchanter Medromo. Got to show the picture of the nug. God, that's ugly. Yeah, same. Prowler. When faced directly, an opponent wearing only light armor and wielding only short blades is a little challenge to a trained chevalier. However, not all fights are duels, and if you assume your opponent shares your values, you will die. The only rule most warriors agree upon is that it is better not to die, and a Grey Warden or Emperor's bodyguard may contest even that accepted wisdom. The skirmisher will strike by surprise, relying upon allies to draw your attention. In a great battle with many troops on each side, you must assume the enemy has such skirmishers in its ranks. Even when fighting in formation, you have no excuse to break your guard and pursue a perceived advantage. Doing so will leave you or those depending upon you unguarded. When fighting alone, you must avoid strikes that would weaken your guard. Once you know such an enemy opposes you, be vigilant. Remember that you wear more armor than he does. He will hide. Do not enter the shadows where he is strongest to pursue him. He will harass you at range. Do not take the bait he offers. A chevalier deserves a better death than a poisoned dagger in his unprotected armpit, and such is the death of those who grow impatient when chasing enemies they deem beneath their honour. Be calm, be methodical, and wait for your opponent to yield to the fear of your blade and the shield. When he does, he will convince himself he can attack you directly, that his blades are fast enough to slip past your shield. He will move, and then you may kill him. An excerpt from Meditation upon the Use of Blades by Swordmaster Machiste de Jean-Mien, required reading at the Académie des Chevaliers. Ram, the greatest enemy. Sorry, picture of a Prowler. Hate the rams. The ram is a marvellous creature. Its wool makes the best lining for winter coats this side of the mountains. The horns and bones can be crushed into powder and mixed with the soil for a healthy crop, or charred and ground into ink powder. The hide makes a good cover in a window against the winds. You can burn dung in a pinch, melt down its fat for candles. I haven't even mentioned the meat. With a full-grown ram, you can make a stew big enough for a village and have enough left over for a week. So be no more complaining about being paid in sheep for your work during the harvest. With that ram and a few ewes, you can start your own flock. You're lucky to have them handed to you instead of needing to go and tame a wild one. Listen to your father for once. Take care of the animals and they'll take care of you. Letter from a Ferelden farmer to his son. Shade. It has often been suggested that the only way for a demon to affect the world of the living is possessing a living or once living body. But this is not always true. Indeed, a shade is one such creature. A demon, in its true form, that is adapted to affect the world around it. My hypothesis is this. We already know that many demons become confused when they pass through the veil into our world, and they are unable to tell the living from the dead. The very static nature of our universe being confusing to a creature that is accustomed to a physicality defined entirely by emotion and memory. Most demons seek to seize immediately upon anything they perceive as life, jealousy, attempting to possess it. But what of those who do not? What of those that encounter no life or fail to possess a body? What of those that are more cautious by their nature? These demons watch, they lurk, they envy. In time, such a demon will learn to drain energy from the psyche of those it encounters, just as it did in the Fade. Once it is drained enough, it has the power to manifest and will forever be known as a shade. Such a creature spurns possession. Instead, it floats as a shadow across a piece of land, preying upon the psyche of any who cross its path. Perhaps it believes itself still in the Fade. There is evidence to believe this is so. So, there's something a bit odd about this one here. And it's the fact that it has nothing here. Doesn't tell us who it's about, which makes me think this might be expanded upon. Either that, I'm looking too much into it. What do you mean there's more? Archers, bear, bruiser, corpse, fennec, foot soldier. Oh! There was another row. Okay. Spellbinder. I confess myself troubled with the rise of mages binding multiple spirits to a single object. Among the mortalisassi, interacting with spirits is a serious, even intimate undertaking. These spellbinders, as they call themselves, bind many simple spirits, usually to books or other easily compartmentalized objects set with runes, and they have stripped the interaction of spirits of its importance, reducing it to a mere mechanical exercise. That such magic is useful to the spellbinder, I do not argue. Although the power contained in these objects is difficult to focus, the diffused magic can easily distribute energy across a broad area, augmenting the mage's allies. The spellbinders insist that no individual spirit is capable of breaking their bindings, and that the spirits cannot cooperate well enough to effect an escape together. Furthermore, they maintain that because the bindings are all tied to the spellbinder personally, there is no risk of the enchanted books falling into the wrong hands. Still, the books are in their hands, and I am concerned. Although the practice has spread across most of Thedas by now, it seems to have originated in Tevinter. These mages bind spirits and demons too readily, and it is not natural for spirits to remain in the world for any great length of time. Our Maker placed the veil between our world and the Fade for a reason after all, and who are we to second-guess his wishes? Perhaps I have grown more reverent in my old age. An excerpt from Life Among the Dead by enchanter Rodomonte van Helge, senior member of the Mortalitassi. Okay. Wraith. Like wisps, wraiths are sometimes thought to be the remains of spirits or demons that have been destroyed. They cannot shape the fate around themselves, nor are they capable of mimicking forms they see in the minds of dreamers, as many weaker spirits do. Instead, they are scavengers of the Fade, dwelling in the shadows of stronger beings, feeding on scraps of thought and emotion from beyond the veil spirits and demons by enchanter Mirdromo. Okay. So, last section is characters. I think we can get this finished in this video. Just about some of the characters we've met so far. Divine Justina V, formerly Revenant Mother Dorothea of Orlais. Divine Justina V rose from power after the death of Divine Beatrix III in the year 934 of the Dragon Age. Little is known of Dorothea's background before she joined the Chantry as an initiate, but she proved to be a liberal and daring thinker, willing to take a former bard and lay sister Liliana as a close advisor. A headstrong devotion to her own agenda and a rumoured support of the Mage Rebellion earned her no small dislike from the powerful priests long used to controlling access to the divine. In the year 940 of the Dragon Age, Divine Justina called a summit, intending to negotiate a truce between the Mage Rebellion and the Templars splintered from the Chantry. The Divine Conclave was held at the Temple of Sacred Ashes, the most holy place in Thedas, before a resolution could be reached. A cataclysmic explosion destroyed the conclave, consumed the temple, rent the sky, and shattered the world's hope for peace. Divine Justina V perished in the Temple of Sacred Ashes, the Chantry's founders leaderless in the wake of her death, and its fate grows increasingly uncertain. If order is not restored to Thedas, Justina V might be remembered as the Chantry's final divine. Okay, so next one would be High Chancellor Roderick. There are some who claim men have no place in the Chantry, beyond the lowest ranks of scholarly brothers and those who take their place amongst the Templars. It is not true. This is an organization spanning 7 nations, from the smallest village chantry to the grand cathedrals in Valroyer. It takes more than sermons to keep it alive. There is an invisible army at work, ensuring meals are delivered, repairs are made, and faithful attended to, and much of it done by chantry brothers like myself. The position of High Chancellor places a man besides the most holy. I control who is permitted audience, handle her correspondence, deliver word to Thedas, and serve as her advisor on matters which may be mundane but cannot be disregarded. If I have influence, let it be said it's something I use sparingly, if at all. It is a task to which I devote myself solemnly. I and my fellows bear burdens so that others are free to guide the spirits of Thedas unencumbered. An excerpt from letter by High Chancellor Roderick Assanom, 938 Dragon. So he considers himself quite an important fellow. Josephine Montalet. Seeker Cassandra. Josephine Montalet is a noble from the nation of Antiva. She was educated in Valroyo, where she built connections among the court. Once she finished her schooling, at a surprisingly young age, Lady Montalet became official diplomat between King Fulgino of Antiva to the Empress Celine of Orlais. The appointment suits her. She is well travelled, familiar with many forms of etiquette, and by all accounts a skilled negotiator. If that endorsement does not suffice, Josephine is a personal friend. I have faith in her. We require someone both influential and trustworthy to be ambassador for the Inquisition. You cannot tell me you would prefer to take the job yourself. Sister Liliana. Liliana. She has many names. Most know her as Sister Liliana, or the Nightingale. Some refuse to speak her name at all, referring her only as the left hand of the divine, the shadow beneath the sunburst throne. The spymaster Marjolaine trained Liliana from a young age. For years, Liliana was Marjolaine's instrument in the great game of Orlais. While Liliana was devoted to Marjolaine, the reverse was not true. Marjolaine betrayed Liliana and almost succeeded in killing her. Liliana survived the betrayal thanks to revered mother Dorothea. Following this betrayal, Liliana spent several years in a cloister in Ferelden, hiding from her past. Inspired by Reverend Mother Dorothea, Liliana dedicated herself to her faith, discovering peace in a simple life of devotion. For when the fifth blight began, she received what she believed a vision from the Maker. This prompted her to leave her sanctuary, taking up arms against the Darkspawn. Several years after the defeat of the Archdemon, Liliana received summons from Dorothea, now divine Justina V. She returned to Orlais to become an agent of the Sunburst throne. Justina perished in the explosion that destroyed the Divine Conclave, and Liliana became a founding member and spymaster of the new Inquisition. So yes, we know a lot about her from Origins. So continue on. Oh. Okay. Thank you for telling me. Cassandra. I understand this is our first order of business. It must be to investigate the bizarre breach in the sky and protect people from the demons descending. While my search continues, I wish to draw attention to a new arrival at our camp, an elven apostate calling himself Solus. Solus entered the camp voluntarily, surrendering his staff to Chantry forces without protest. He is not Dalish and says that he has never been part of the circle, claiming instead to study magic peacefully on his own, particularly magic tied to the Fade. While I suspect that you will be reluctant to accept the help of an apostate, Solus did come to us freely. Witnesses saw him in a nearby village at the time of the blast, so he was likely not responsible for what happened at the Conclave. However, he has described the effects of the breach in enough detail to convince me he knows more about the fate than anything else. Solus has requested permission to study the lone survivor in one of the smaller rifts in hope of finding a way to seal the breach. He has correctly guessed that it is growing and believes it will destroy the entire world unless we find a way to stop it. Unless you object, I will allow his studies, under proper observation, of course. Liliana. So yeah, I think we read this before. I seem to remember reading that before. Trevelyan, the Free Marcher. Us. The Trevelyan are nobility from Ostwick, a city-state on the southern coast of the Free Marches. It's an old and distinguished family in good standing amongst its peers, and with strong ties to the Chantry. His youngest sons and daughters, those third or fourth-born children with little chance of becoming heirs, often join the Chantry to become Templars or clerics. As the youngest child, Lord William Trevelyan was expected to follow suit until the disaster of the Conclave. William was present at the Temple of Sacred Ashes as a representative of his family's interests, along with other distant relatives in the Chantry. He was the only survivor at the temple after the explosion. Rumours that the mysterious mark in his hand as a sign of the Maker's favour were spread by those who claim they saw the divine prophet Andraste herself lead Lord William out of the fade. It looks like our symbol is a horse. Varric Tethras. There are pirate stories. That's all history is. The best tales, the ones that last, might as well be mine. Varric Tethras of the Dwarven Merchants Guild of Kirkwall is famous, or infamous, for two things: his books and his association with the Champion of Kirkwall. After the Templars and Circle broke away from the Chantry, Divine Justina 5th sent her agents to Kirkwall, where the roots of the war began. In search of answers, the Champion had long since disappeared, but Varric had written a book on his friend's involvement in the destruction of Kirkwall Chantry. And the left and right hands of the Divine located him with surprising ease. They captured and interrogated him, then brought him to the Conclave and give his testimony to the Divine person, but fate decreed he would never meet her. Okay. Wait, what do you mean? Wait, did I miss one? I don't think I missed one. We read that one. Cullen. I don't think we read Cullen. Whatever you've heard of Kirkwall's rebellion, the truth is far worse. I would spare you that. What remains of Kirkwall's Templars have been under my command for the past few years. We have done what we could to assist with the city's recovery, to restore some semblance of order, but my time here is done. Seeker Pentagast has approached me. She wishes to stop the war between mages and Templars. She has been recruiting men and women to the cause and wishes me to oversee the group's military concerns. If the Conclave goes well, then we will not be needed. If not, we stand ready. I have decided to take Seeker Pentagast's offer. The circles have fallen. I can give no more to the Templar Order, nor it to me. The Maker has shown me a new path. I must take it. Excerpt from letter sent to Southreach by Commander Cullen. So yes, we know he used to be a Templar. And that is all the Codex entries so far. I will, of course, be doing more of these videos as we carry on. And although I think we went over some of these twice, hopefully I haven't missed any, apart from the crafting materials, which were fairly dry when I read through. So, thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye.